Is still on the line. It's 6 o'clock on Wednesday and the regular crowd shuffles in. Welcome everybody to the Blue House Bull Session. We are happy to have you here with us today. Fuzzy, as always, here with me. Much appreciation to you. Happy Wednesday. How are you? How's things been?
Busy. We have been busy on things.
Man, oh man, we had the Hergel Sync last night, and 2 hours, right? 10 to midnight? We were just yelling about things going on, and I didn't have anyone tell me once to stop it and that they were bored and ready to quit. We have all kinds of
You've
good
got
notes.
4 programmers.
Well,
what
yeah.
What are we doing at 10 p.m.?
Collectively doing a code review, making all our notes, appointing the new team member, the lowest man on the totem pole currently, as our community manager. Thank you, Jacob, for volunteering to take over a lot of our social representations. You know what we did? Let me tell you what we did. We got our Steamworks account set up. We are going to be releasing games on Steam. You will be able to get Can Do on Steam. I am so hyped for that. As soon as I have a link, I'll make sure it's out so everyone can add it to their wish list, just to make it look impressive. I have a question for Grant, and we're going to wait till next week. My good friend Legos Jedi is actually a developer over at Twitch, so we pester him incessantly with Twitch-related questions. I want to ask him if there is a good way to track streamers, like the most prominent streamers in a game category, because I've seen a handful of third-party sites that do something like that. I'm interested who's getting what information where. Not entirely, but at least in part, because Fuzzy was streaming Can Do earlier, and he's one of 3 people I know that do, and 2 of those people are currently vying for the #1 Can Do streamer on Twitch. Ineffable NPC is trying to sneak in there too, and she's very dedicated to being the #1 Can Do streamer on Twitch, but I guess we'll see how that shakes out. Could be an interesting battle. What if someone just overtakes both of you? What if someone just, a dark horse in the race shows up and starts streaming Can Do 24/7? Oh man.
I wonder.
What you looking for? I heard an I wonder. That always leads to something great.
Well, funny you mentioned that. I'll send this link to you. Actually, you know what? I'll just put it in the chat and you can get it from there.
Ooh, a link in the chat. Interesting. I wonder. Yeah, let's have a look at this together, shall we? Yeah.
I think Twitch itself does record that and expose it through some API.
Can I change this to more than monthly? That's what I want to see. Interesting. 43 hours in March of 2024 and 2 hours in April. The point is, not only are like people, more than one person playing it, people are watching it be played. That is just downright impressive, if I may say so.
Well, that's because one of my streams, I ended it on Can Do. So it records that by the whole VOD gets recorded as Can Do, which is a failing of Twitch because how they store stuff. But
well, we'll put that on our list for Grant when we grill him next week. By the way, while you're responsible for one tiny little thing, we're going to launch every complaint and question at you ever and just let you be like, guys. We also have non-Twitch related questions for Grant, especially since he's been streaming his own game development journey recently. And I want to give him a chance to show off what he's been working on and talk about how it's been getting into that and all of that. It'll be good stuff. Hey, we need to do a code review. You and I.
What did I do?
We need to do a code review. I'm going to send a link. Do you want to do the share? That way you can do all the highlighting and all of that whatnot? Yeah, let me send you a link on Facebook here, and we're going to code review a submission from a dear friend of mine and a dear friend of yours in the shows, Mr. Jackson Perotti.
Oh, dear God.
But he's put together a repository that he's asked us to just kind of have a look at and give our feedback. So you should have share access to go ahead and share that. I hope. You should. Computers are like. Yeah.
You didn't actually send anything.
I sent you a message, didn't I?
No. I have the photo of your spicy nudes.
Well, they weren't particularly spicy today, but...
Flavored ramen.
They weren't particularly spicy today, unless you count garlic. How did that not send? Okay, well, here. Have a message now. There you go. Now you have a message. Fuzzy sent me... about 45 minutes to an hour ago, Fuzzy sent me a message to remind me to eat before stream. You know, we're self-care buddies and all of that. And he said, it's an hour until stream. Here's your noodle alert. I immediately sent back a picture of the noodles I had just made, along with his message in the background to show that, boy, were we on exactly the same track. Here are the noodles I just made, right before you sent me a message telling me it was noodle time.
Okay. I did the thing.
In Final Fantasy 1. Why is it not doing this thing on my end?
Do I actually have to...
I think you might have to hit show on stream. I hit show on stream. You might have to hit show on stream.
Where is show on stream? There's
top right? No? Nothing?
This is not intuitive. Do you have to hit show on stream?
I did, but it's not for some reason.
Twitch TV is sharing a window. Okay.
And I have a slot that says show on stream, but I do not have... Here, let me try this.
Well,
I can always just share it. And we can look at it together here and I'll follow along.
well, okay. For Speepo's comment, the problem is this system, the stream together thing by Twitch, leaves a lot of the control in the host to make sure I, as the guest, if I'm just some random person that we brought in as a guest, if I can share something, but the other person has to approve it. Jason is the host and ultimately has controls because it's going out to his stream. So there's a lot of stuff that only he can do or he has to approve. And also they want to make sure you are actually, if you want to hit share, you see it on our side and then he has to actually make that go over there. So it doesn't like accidentally share the wrong thing before he has a chance to like, yes, it is the window I wanted to capture. I'm not the whole desktop or whatever. So it gives you a double chance. It actually is polished. It's just not the greatest UI. Okay. You're streaming. Okay, I see it now.
So, in Final Fantasy 1, random number generation for some value of random was done with a giant table. It was just 0 through 255 shuffled. And you stepped through it one step at a time.
Yep.
Well, you see, the thing about that is we now have an implementation of that in TypeScript.
Okay.
Here is our gigantic blob array of all the values the way they were originally in the Final Fantasy 1 ROM.
Try making your window less wide so it's not as stretched, and it may make things a little bigger. Hey, that's a lot better. Okay.
Yeah, it might be easier to look at and read if I zoom in a little.
Yeah.
So there's not really much better you could do for storing a bunch of values like that. This is how it is in the table. I have no criticism on this at all.
For code reasons, no.
Yeah.
That's as good as any because the code doesn't actually matter. It's all going to get converted. So.
But the way this is set up is you create a new instance of the class. It stores a seed, which is your position in the table. You can, look, it's even got block comments. Set the seed using the set seed function here.
Okay. He's got his types defined correctly.
He does. He does. A for that. So it creates process seed based on whatever your input is by using a process seed input function. It sets the internal seed to that processed seed and then returns it. So when you set the seed, it gives it back so that you know what you are getting back is a seed that fits the requirements. We'll skip down here to the process seed function itself. Processes the seed input, number or string, to ensure it's valid. Takes in pretty much anything it can, because we were talking about robustness the other night.
Yeah.
Takes in whatever it can and returns a valid seed value. It will not just error out. So it checks type of to see if it's a number. If it is a number, if it's negative, we add table.length or table.length plus seed input mod this table.length. Does that do what we think it does? We'll make a note to check how negative seeds are interpreted, especially if the negative number is absolute value larger than size of the table. Well, no,
Well,
that should. All right, how does that work? How does a negative number mod a positive number work?
oh, that's an interesting question. Specifically, how does it do it in a JavaScript engine?
Yeah, yeah.
Did we find the third expansion to WAT?
I think it's a consideration.
Well, one thing I would note, um, I would do that integer check. Oh no, because you would want to protect against negative first. I would say ideally I would check the integer because most like assume code is going to be good. What is the shortest path?
Okay.
Um,
Well, let's see. If you do the integer check first, a negative integer would still pass an integer test.
right, but then you couldn't just well.
You're with me. We're trying to shortcut this out. What's the fastest path through it?
Well, another thing is he's got these three separate type of checks.
Yes.
Um, they should be if else chained together because the compiler will treat them differently because right now it's considering them potentially as three separate things, whereas realistically only one of those is going to be true. It can't be more than one type.
True, but he is shortcut returning out of
switch.
those.
Right. But it's also turns into branching because as far as the first pass compiler knows, they are three separate checks. Yes, he's returning out of them, but he doesn't have a he if you get into the string one and it doesn't pass that NaN thing, what does it do?
Then it else ifs
Basically
down
on
to
68 and yeah, after between 68 and 69, if it is a string but it's not a thing, what happens? Does it fall through? But now it's gonna check against undefined, which it doesn't have to because we already knew it's a string. So these three if with the type ofs should really boil down to a switch because it can only be one type of.
All right. I could see that. Do a switch
But
on
that
type of.
yeah, because it can only be one of them.
Because undefined would also be a type in that instance. I see what's going on.
Don't do a default because the default has to come after. Because if any of them don't work, you can fall through, which would cover any internal logic not happening, like
Yeah.
with that string thing, or something else went wrong.
Okay. I could see that working. So that can be moved into a case.
I don't know about the modular thing though. Yeah.
The ifs could be moved into a case because they are going to be mutually exclusive things. The return shortcutting might not get handled optimally by the TypeScript compiler. Okay.
I typed into Google JavaScript. I typed M, it autocomplete to modulo, and the second thing it offered after modulo was modulo with negative numbers.
Ooh.
So this is a question that comes up.
Good. It's not just us. I feel better about that. I am interested what Mr. Google has to say about this one.
It is noted the percent operator in JavaScript is the remainder operator, not a true modulo operator. The main difference in how negative numbers are treated. Example, -1 mod 8 returns -1, not 7.
Okay. But that would mean that -9 mod 8 should return -1.
He's going to have to test to see how it works in TypeScript, because I don't know off the top of my head if that's changed.
Fair.
Yeah, there's a bunch of good examples on Stack Overflow about this, and a lot of people doing very, very elegant code golf, actual true modulo replacements. If you needed actual modulo and not remainder, because you need the actual thing and not what JavaScript decided to implement.
Although I'm kind of curious, this is
how is he getting negative numbers into that seed?
If someone constructs the class and they call setSeed with a negative number. Because as part of this class, you can call setSeed. And he's checking to degarbagify as much as possible the input.
It's a number. Run math absolute over it, turn it into a positive number, and then go. Accept negative inputs, treat them as forced to positive.
Fair.
Condition your input. Don't try to do weird things with it. Because that'll fix a lot of math, especially if you're working with a table length, which will always be positive.
I think part of it comes from our experience in Python, too, where you can use a negative offset to say start at the end and count back this many, which may be what his intention is with it. If you put in a negative number, start at table.length. Seed is the index.
It's not a math seed.
Right.
Oh!
It is called seed, but it is the index into the array of random.
Okay. In that case, seed input should be it should be explained in the thing, like it is not a number seed like you would seed a math random function with. It is a seed index.
Okay. So
on the right there, you have the param, line 27.
Yes.
Does he actually... The seed input to process. We'll wrap around it. Yeah, it should be explicitly said there that this is the index into the table.
Okay, so that one might be addressed just by a different naming convention. If instead of the word seed, we use the word index or position, since it's a location in the table.
Well, if he's going to take the time to do full doc comments like that, that does help the autocomplete in most browsers, and possibly even in GitHub. Like if you mouse over the setSeed function, it may list those parameters and their descriptions, which helps you when you're going to use this.
Yeah. It's not in this browser, but I've seen it in VS Code happen enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the let's see, process seed inputs. This table length plus.
And next number is the other function in this class, which gives back the result at the current seed or index from the table.
Oh. He's missing one more mod in process seed input with the negative check. To make it actually wrap around, he needs to mod it one more time around the length, because all that plus does is push it in, but it'll push it after the table. You need to mod it one more to put it back within the table thing.
I'm not sure about that, because if I'm reading this correctly, if it does that remainder operation, if we know seed input is negative, then seed input mod this table length will end up being negative, but capped at the absolute value of the length of the table. It will be -1 to -255.
Okay, let's say I gave a seed input of -5.
Okay.
We have 255
Yes.
plus -5 mod 255.
Yes. So if it's the remainder operation, -5 mod 255 is -5. So it starts at the end of the table and counts backwards by whatever your negative value is.
If you know it's a negative number, then why not just subtract it?
The reason he's got that modulo / remainder operator there is, what if you put in -1,000? Because end of table -1,000 is outside the table. But if he's got that modulo remainder operator in there, -1,000 mod 255 is 223 or whatever. It'll end up being 200 something. So he'll have table length minus 200 something.
What I would do personally is within the less than 0, I would create a safe offset. I would cast that input to a positive number, mod the length to make it and then I would subtract it. This way it's clear that you are going back from that amount rather than try to do it in line, because it's not clear what the fact that we're having this discussion. It isn't clear that, okay, we know it's negative, turn that -5 into a +5, but also turn that -1,005 to
whatever it maths out to. I'll spare you the
yeah. Well, that whatever that effective -5 is, modulate wrap it there, and then just subtract it from the length.
Okay.
This way it's clear that we know it's negative. Do a subtraction rather than try to do math to make a valid negative number, and then we're adding a negative number to it.
I getcha.
Like, it's clear it's all in one line, but all of that within the JavaScript engine, and especially within TypeScript, which may even factor out even before that, is going to boil down to effectively what he wrote.
Yeah.
It's nice code golf, but for readability and also what you're doing and where in the process it is, what is my basically create a negative offset there.
I get
and then subtract that.
I get you. So the other function in here is next number, and that one, there's really not a whole lot that can be said about it. It gives you back the value at the current position. It bumps the position by 1 and wraps it around the end of the table.
Yeah, nice clamping.
So what do you think? Out of 10, what would you rank this code base? Oh. One more. I also want to show you. Now, this is not in a standard test framework format, but we have some tests. Also, welcome, Buttons. We are looking over Jackson's code together. He submitted his TypeScript rewrite of the Final Fantasy I random number generator. And I am leaning on my harshest code reviewer to give it a thorough skewering.
One other thing I would potentially change, and I don't know if he's going for as minimal memory, like this has got to be in an NES, so every micro bit matters because you've got like 6 bytes of memory. I would keep the seed separate from the current index.
Okay, talk me through what you're thinking there.
When you set the seed, you should know what that was seeded to. Also, and don't change that, because this is a class you are initializing this instance of it with this seed number. But there should be an index one. That's the one you're going to advance and loop and advance and loop.
But it knows
Seed
last time you reset it what you reset it to, and then it keeps track of its
Right.
position separately.
In case in case you do want to add a reset to like reset that back, in case you need to like peek into it or something, or
if you need to
that re-ng to do it, replay this whole thing, you know, whatever your seed index was.
Draw the next 3 numbers off the top of your array. Discard 2.
You joke, but something that's always comes up in programming stuff, dice and cards are usually one of the first object-oriented things they make you do, because it is instances, it is unique properties within, it is comparables. It's the solitaire, no pun intended, of programming. All the parts of a deck of cards exist to show you the many parts of class-oriented stuff.
I can dig.
Because you have a deck which contains an array of cards. Cards have a suit and a number. You can compare. You can override greater than or equal to or comparison or properties or shuffle array. Yeah.
All right. So as someone who is into QA and verification, we create a new instance of the object. Our first check is if we call next number twice, by design of the way this one works, we should get different values.
We know for a fact the table is all unique.
Yes.
Correct? Because it is just a table of the numbers 0. It is a deck of number cards from 0 to 255.
Yes.
Can you try clicking on next number there on line 6? Just like click on the text. Does it bring up the thing?
It just brings up the references in this file.
Okay, now from there, click on under where it says symbols, next number, the bold one at the top.
Boop. I got nothing.
No, the bolder one under above that.
All symbols?
Yeah. No, where it says
when I click on the bold one there, it doesn't do anything.
Oh, because it's not in scope on this on this page.
There's no include for it.
Okay. Oh wait, no, I have it. I just wanted to see what next number actually returned. Returns the next number in a sequence. Does it just return?
So it
returns a type number. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure. Not always, and especially in JavaScript, you can't just compare numbers like that.
That becomes wet sometimes, but
yeah.
The first test is
numbers. You know they're going to be unique. Effectively assert that these are not the same.
The next test is set the seed twice, and this is doing more than one thing at a time. Set it to number 50, store the next number. Set it to string 50, store the next number. Ensure that those are the same.
Okay. One thing I'm going to call out here. On the test he does on line 8,
yes,
he is using a singular equals, which will do loose checking, which in case he was doing things that he was returning it some memory thing, it would try to coalesce those into something that can both of them into numbers and compare, and it'll do a check. On in this case, it's gonna be okay because he's returning number primitives.
But
But
in
in this case,
general,
the test on
go
15, he's doing exact strict compare, which may not exactly match or match the way he thinks it does.
so a not double equals on line 8 would ensure that that's strict comparison between the two, or strict comparison for
Yeah,
equality.
right. But that's if you know for sure that's what you're trying to test.
Right.
If you're trying to compare two things that both kind of turn into numbers and compare them, but you end up with WAT stuff, or you want to exactly compare them because two numbers in objects will loosely compare to the same thing because it coalesces them, but even two objects of the same value aren't, because objects are actually pointers,
Yeah.
which again is even further complicated by TypeScript. So yes, the one on 8 probably should be a double equals, which is effectively a triple equals.
It may not be a bad idea, although it may be overkill, to have a test where you use the same type twice. Set seed to 50, store the next number. Set seed to exactly the same 50, store the next number, and make sure they're the same.
Yeah.
This is effectively two
numbers.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's only one, but he just should do 2 integer tests, 2 string tests, and then effectively do integers and strings work together.
Yes. If you do not pass an argument to set seed, it defaults to 0. So he verifies that by manually setting it to 0 and comparing those.
Okay. I just noticed something.
Go on.
He's using the same RNG object here.
Yes.
Theoretically, within any of these, especially for the ones where he's doing the third test, the no argument, they should be 2 different RNG objects.
Oh, so that they have separate setups. Yeah.
Because set seed is overriding the seed the current index effectively. You're just changing the same one, and you don't know from this test, is there other shenanigans going on?
So as part of the setup, if we want to make sure that 2 different random jump generators with the same parameters do the same thing, or equivalent parameters in this case, set them up as 2 separate instances. Have an RNG A and an RNG B, and make sure they both do the same thing.
The test in the test he's doing on 15,
yeah,
with the integer versus string, should be 2 separate RNG objects to make sure you can, in theory, they work. That set seed does what it's supposed to do
from the get-go, whether or not you've called it before.
Right.
Is it idempotent? This is to verify idempotence.
Yes, that's that word will not stay in my brain.
I understand. I have had to literally practice to remember that as a concept. Like, I know what I'm trying to say, but the fact that there exists a word for a repeatable action that has no additional compounding effects. Blech. Like pressing an elevator button.
Or the difference between a get, a post, and a put.
Go on.
In HTTP, a get should only return data, and in theory should not change stuff. If you want to send a post that should manipulate stuff, a post will add one to the cart, spend this money, buy this thing. If you want to set a thing, HTTP verbs has a put, and I want to set this to true. Don't use a post for that because that may change something, whereas a put is a idempotent, set this to this.
Now I get it.
It will repeat the same action and have the same effect.
Back to my elevator button.
That's why that exists. Yes.
When you press an elevator down button, the elevator knows it should come down to your floor and that you are going down. And no matter how many times you
That's not
press
true in
it,
all elevators.
well, it should
That's not
be.
true. Well, in some elevators, not the Otis ones, the other brand, I don't remember what it is. Some
Yeah.
of them, especially in hotels, if you hit a button, it will stay latched. In some of the brands, if you hit the same button, it will uncall it in case, like, oh, I accidentally hit 4 and not 5. You can uncall it to that so it doesn't go to that one when you're trying to go down.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine that's one of the things that'd be covered by like the one of the disability acts or the accessibility acts. Either way.
In case you like accidentally double
Yeah.
tap it. Yeah.
I'm curious. But then we get to line 24, where it looks like he's already done the dang research for us, because he compares -1 to 255.
There's
Granted,
256 numbers in the table, right?
yes, they are 0 through 255.
Well, then that's not the right test then.
0 minus 1 should be 255 by my count. I know we're really splitting hairs here, but
Well, it's yeah, because he's going off of the length, which would be 256.
yes.
Hmm. Um.
I do note that we're not testing for a negative number larger than table length. So that's a
Yes.
test we would want to include for sure.
Also, let me console.
Uh-oh, are we opening a JavaScript console?
Well, did you know there's a console.assert?
I did not know there was a console.assert.
Yes.
Interesting.
On all these, he has these console logs, which are effectively only going to return a Boolean. So when he runs it, it's going to pass. Like, you don't know which one failed. You have to, like, count them. You should pass a first, like, log, like, negative number, like a string, and then that test. Like, next,
Yeah.
double next test, so he'll have true. If one fails, you can see which one it is.
Okay.
You can pass two things. You can pass many things in commas in a console log. But he should have like a descriptor. This way it says, which thing failed.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a console.assert if you want to, like, if an assertion is false and stuff. If you're doing it effectively like a test, use asserts. They exist for a reason.
True.
It's one of those things. Console has a bunch of other functions that nobody ever uses. Like dirxml.
What?
Yes.
I will have to keep that in mind.
Is a static method displays an interactive tree of the descendant elements of the specified XML or HTML element. You can get element by ID or whatever, pass it to this, and it will give you a tree view of the properties in the console.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that console.assert myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm gonna have to step away for a second. Would you like to talk about some of the stuff you've been doing on Can Do in my absence for a few minutes here? Sorry,
Sure.
nature's calling. Collect. Um, yeah, I will hand it over. Talk about some of the stuff you've done in Can Do in your stream earlier, though.
Let's see. I am a personal fan of the watch mode because while I enjoy playing these games, sometimes I just like watching them because I'm a weirdo and I like to stream them sometimes. So one thing I've been making some minor improvements to the watch mode, which is available on the paid version and not the web version because reasons. We have good reasons for it. Um we now track we now show the actual like how many moves are left, how many things are matched for people that like how far done is it? I don't want to count all the green blocks. Is it 10 away? Is it 12 away? We don't know. It also now correctly um, stops and restarts the timer and the moves count when it does complete. We made some algorithm changes to make sure it won't unsort things. Once it matches two things on a shelf, it won't take one of those away, so it won't lose progress. Because before that change, we would let it run overnight for like 12 hours and it would only match three shelves because it was a true just BOGO just making random moves. And now it like will attempt to make progress. Our average complete time is about 30 minutes on it and then it'll reset. Um, we are working. If you caught one of my VODs earlier before the stream and also the other night, we're adding a secret random chance. It'll be fairly low for themed sets. Basically, what it came down to was oops, all milk. Because there's like a bunch of flowers and a bunch of milks and a bunch of can't, and it has a fairly low chance of picking a themed set of items, and it'll be only uh only those items. No changes. It just a smaller out of the set of 108 items in the grid. Instead of pulling 60 of them out, it'll only pull like a dozen of them. Those when it does happen, they go pretty quick because there's a lot less things. It's more things to sort, but it's interesting to look at. And it was an accidental thing while we were in the code fixing some other bugs. Uh, one of our team members, and I don't remember if it was, I don't remember if it was, I don't remember which one, if it was Jacob or Matt, made a new algorithm to make sure it won't deadlock. Because we discovered there's a very, very slim chance that if you get the exact right set of things together, you could get into a state where it gets stuck in an infinite loop trying to make a move. Because with the change of the with the addition of the change where it won't break up, if you have like an AA and a B and you have another one, you could get in a state if you have exactly three shelves with exactly the right things. It says, "Oh, I can't take away from this. I can't take away from this." You get this like three-way deadlock, and it would very quickly 100% CPU your browser because it would like get into this loop. It's like trying to find a thing, trying to find a thing, trying to find a thing, and it gets stuck in an infinite, like very rapid loop trying to find one. And he made a little matrix Q picker thing to prevent that so it can like do a first pass, find a move, and not trying to do it in line with each one. So if you've ever been playing Can Do in the watch mode and it like freaked out, locked up, and took over your computer, that's why. And we're fixing that. Um, Potentially some new music is coming. I know that's been a much requested thing. At least another song, so two songs per mode. Um and now quickly before he gets his headphones back on, ha ha ha. We are potentially we do know about It is kind of unplayable on mobile. We are well aware of it. The web version is hinky with mobile sizes. We are working on it. We are also no plan time on this. We are working on a mobile version, like a true native, actual on your phone mobile version. There's a lot of considerations to take into account because mobile programming is hard.
It is.
Legitimately.
It
Guess
really
what?
is.
Phones come in more sizes than there are different color of people.
Yes. Yes, by far.
And there's a lot. So also, testing because we can. I
I
have an
only have
iPhone.
one phone. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a phone. I have an iPhone. He has a not iPhone. Even within those two major classes, there's a lot of things. It's a lot of weird testing. We can fake and emulate the Android side because there's pretty good Android emulators for things, but even then, of different sizes, different screen ratios. Some phones are, yeah, they're rectangular, but some are a lot longer. What happens to the extra space? Do we add more rows? Do we add less rows? Do we just, letterbox it?
We letterbox it. Spoiler alert, we're going to letterbox it.
Yeah.
But in principle, yeah, we definitely are planning a version of it dedicated for mobile. Can we out the name? Did we out the name?
No.
We are.
Ice Cream Man. Ice Cream Man.
Oh man. Oh man. Oh, wait. Why am I turning? It's in your neighborhood. That will not help me at all.
You're an adult with adult money and a car. You can just go buy ice cream at any time.
It doesn't taste as good when it doesn't come to me randomly. Ha ha ha. No. No, I have run into that too.
Okay,
Like,
pitch idea.
go on.
Pitch idea. We combined Uber Eats and Singing Telegram. You push a button to send an ice cream to somebody's house. They roll up in your driveway playing ice cream truck music, and they knock on your door and hand you an ice cream cone.
Yo.
It is an on delivery, on demand, send an ice cream truck to somebody's house, and it's prepaid and like, here's your thing.
I realize
sent you a malformed SpongeBob.
I'm broke all the time, but I would be even broker all the time from just randomly sending ice cream to all the people I love. I would so abuse that service.
They show up with a Bluetooth speaker to play
the ice cream truck jingle.
Yeah. If you had a knock on your door, then you heard an ice cream truck, would you open the door?
Yes. 100%. If you got a warrant to serve me, roll up in an ice cream truck to serve it, because that's how you're going to get me to open the door.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't have said that out loud, should I?
Anyway, no, I did not leak the name because we got to make sure we get some things.
Okay, then I won't leak the thing yet either. Although it's very tempting. We have the best name for it. We really do.
No, do not leak it.
I'm not.
We need to make sure we get like names reserved in app stores before we do, because otherwise, it is a horrible mess later.
Yeah, that is very true. I can go create the Android one tonight, though. I can definitely do that. Find me. Put that on my list. For our after stream Denny's. Man, I wish we lived closer and there was a not crappy Denny's in between us.
There is one in that city with the mall that is between us.
I thought they closed that one.
I don't know anymore.
I should go look.
They just closed. Oh, did you see about Red Lobster?
Closing 48 locations with no notice whatsoever. People showed up to work to discover their business was out of business.
They worked Mother's Day. The next day they came in and the store was just dark, closed.
Yeah.
And they were and I saw it on TikTok, and somebody was scrolling down the list of all the locations, and I'm like, get to Ohio, come on. Oh, okay, it's not ours. Yes, it actually is legal.
Stateside, it is absolutely legal to do that. We have such limited protections here in labor.
A friend of ours,
Diet Mr. Pibb, yeah,
that was on like the first or second episode.
He
Second
had
episode.
he had that experience. He
Our
was
first guest. He worked closing shift at a steakhouse. I think it was a Longhorn.
yeah.
Like, and he got out of there at like 1 a.m. And he worked. He was a cook. He worked, close, clean up. Got out of there at like 12:30, 1 a.m. Went home, slept for 6 hours because he had to open the next day because of bad scheduling things. And shows up at 8 a.m. The building was closed, locks on the door, and they had already removed the sign. Not just like we are closed and it takes time. Like, they started dismantling the store. He's like, I still have stuff in there because I was only gone 7 hours.
Yeah.
And then it was like 3 weeks before they sent out a notification to the employees and said, hi, we've closed. We'll be mailing you your last checks. And I think it took a while to him yelling I have stuff in there. I had just worked a shift.
Yeah.
Like, they'd removed the sign in the middle of the night.
I was scheduled to close open. Because they can get away with it, because there is a fear that if they announce it, that they will get subpar work or that people will walk out beforehand.
Or
so
just take stuff.
Yeah. So they leverage the fact that they're not required to give notice. Yeah. There's a lot of paranoia about backlash, and I won't say rightfully so, but I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that, aside from it should not be permitted.
Can I segue into a thing I wanted to talk about?
Yes, please. Absolutely.
Speaking of businesses making bad decisions.
Ooh, is this about our bad decision?
We want to talk about Sony and Helldivers.
Yes, we do. Yes, we certainly do. So a little bit of background for those of you who might not be in the know. The game Helldivers, created by, who made that?
Helldivers 2.
Helldivers 2.
Arrowhead.
Created by small studio, but published by Sony, was a phenomenal overnight success. Everyone absolutely loved it. It blew up on the internet. You know someone who was playing it, whether or not they've admitted it to you. And it was one of the largest selling games on Steam, and ridiculously popular. And then Sony decided they were going to add a requirement that in order to play online, go on.
No, they did not add this requirement. This requirement was actually stated on the store page and in the description, everywhere else at the start, that you were going to have to link a PSN account. They temporarily, because at the beginning they had all these server issues and scaling and stuff, they temporarily suspended that because they had to roll out like instant cloud servers and all this stuff just to get people in there and playing, because it was just DDoSing itself by active playing. They temporarily suspended for 90 days that requirement. It was actually stated that it would be required at the start. And that is a key difference.
I'm very curious about something. I'm going to interlude for a moment here because Aunt BJ, hi, welcome, by the way, mentioned a book called Last Night at the Lobster, which describes basically this whole situation, and I think I am going to have to read this now. I am intrigued. I threw a link in chat. Anywho, to return to the Helldivers 2 situation, one of the big issues with that is that the PlayStation Network is not available in a lot of countries because of their poor security practices and problems they've had in the past with data breaches. And
no, it's a money thing. Because they are to pay them, they have to have financial agreements in every country they operate to be able to take local currency, process payments, blah, 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 blah. That's why a lot of services are only available in the US or only available in effectively English-speaking countries. Sorry, world. And it's because they have every country you operate a business in, including taking money, you have to have registered in taxes and blah, 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 blah. And for whatever reason, a small independent studio like Sony doesn't want infinite amount of money from 180 countries and can't be bothered to pay somebody to do paperwork, they said, okay, we're going to reinforce the PSN thing, which people were grumpy about, because Sony's famously real secure with their data. But also, it means any place you can't have a PSN account, you can't
You
play the
can't play
game.
the game. So many people who have bought the game already and been playing it in countries where you cannot have a PSN account started storming in and demanding refunds for this game that they would not be permitted to play anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And leaving negative reviews on Steam. With the support of the developers, by the way, who felt that this was really, shooting them in the foot from above.
Yep. Oh yeah, and other button brings a good point. There's some of those countries where you can have a PSN account, but you can only create one on an actual PlayStation. You can't just go to the web and create one because of other weird requirements in some countries. You have to have it has to be made on the device, verified, blah 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 blah, because of restrictions and spamming and lots of complicated reasons. But you have to make it on the device, which is even more complicated because a PS5 is not exactly cheap, and especially if it's a Steam game, you're not playing it on the PS5.
Right.
Yes, I know it's not another thing, but we're talking about the Steam players. None of this affected the PS5 players because they were already playing on PlayStation 5, which by its nature means you have a PlayStation account. But that's a very, very small sliver of the user base.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then there's the whole Ukraine thing, which is in a weird legal state of stuff right now, and a lot of businesses are just like, nah, dog, we ain't gonna, in case another Crimea happens, and like, who actually gets that money now? You can't pay your taxes in a country that just got overtaken and is now and consumed, so they just don't.
You with your actual legitimate geopolitical knowledge, I tell you.
It's the only reason I listen to the radio is for news.
Understandable. I know I just ran off in the middle and abandoned Fuzzy, but I think we're going to take a few minute break here. We got ads coming up that I got to run. Thank you to all the subscribers. We'll probably just hang out and listen to music for a minute. We will be back in about 5. You know what? Get up, go stretch, get yourself some water. Thank you for hanging out with us so far, and we will be back in 5. Welcome back, everybody, to the Blue House Bull Session. Thank you for taking a break. Hope you were up, hydrated, stretched, and all of that whatnot. I assure you we did. We didn't just sit here for, 5 minutes staring at each other and me apologizing for needing to use the restroom. Oh, my goodness. It's so terrible. But yeah, we wanted to talk a little bit more about the Helldivers 2 scenario and the way it was walked back. A lot of times in these situations, like we saw recently with the Unity game engine, when the company realizes how much Operation Foot Bullet is working, they will try to walk it back. Sony, however, has taken a very different tack on that.
So one of the things that made it worse was effectively by adding PSN, you exclude all the countries where you can't, where they don't have PSN. At about the same time, and Pirate Software noticed the timestamps on these and caught them in the act, they had already put in the change request to Steam to actually properly restrict the sellable countries for Helldivers to the countries where they don't, to prevent, if your country does not have PSN, you cannot buy Helldivers, because eventually they do want to force the PSN connection. But the problem is they did this, they put in that change at the same time they publicly announced it, like, hey, we heard the thing, we're not going to require PSN, but you still can't buy or play. And there's some debate on that, whether or not you can continue to play it even though you already have it. You just can't you can't buy a new license for it. It's they put in the change to block the countries where they don't have PSN. At the same time, they announced we're not going to require PSN. Like, oops, our bad, we're not going to require it. And then they left that restricted. And even Arrowhead, the scene is like, yeah, we don't know. We just make it. They're the publisher. They actually have to put in that change with Steam, and they still haven't, because Steam would fast track that ticket to, like,
In a
not
heartbeat.
linger on that.
In a heartbeat.
At the same time they did this, another game published by Sony, Ghost of
Tsushima.
Also, they did the same thing. They put the same restrictions on it because you need to link PSN, which is only required for multiplayer. Even if you're not going to be playing the multiplayer, if you're just going to play single player, you cannot buy it in countries that that does not have PSN to not play it online. They just preemptively prevented sales of the game in 180 countries to play a single player game because the online component requires PSN, which is perfectly fine. Xbox did the same thing. You have to have an Xbox account to use the online components. That's pretty popular in a lot of games. Except Sony's in this weird position where they are the publisher, but they also run PSN and they also make PlayStations.
Yeah. If
Sony was not the publisher of this game, this would be fine. But Sony is not one Sony. It's Sony, the PlayStation Network people, and Sony, the publisher people, and Sony, the electronics people, are all radically different parts of the same conglomerate mass, and nobody actually talks to each other. Yeah.
See, I'm granted we don't exactly have publishers kicking down the door of Hergel Studios, but that's also why we're self-publishing. Is like, we don't want someone to do this to us. We don't want to be on the receiving end of someone else doing this to us without our knowledge, among many other perfectly, viable and valid reasons.
Here's the SteamDB page for the package. That the package cannot be purchased in the following countries, and it's up to 180 right now.
108. Good sweet criminy. What even is this? Let me blow this up a little bit. We're going to go through this together and look at these.
So, in response to the initial PSN change before it even went live, everybody review bombed the game on Steam and just tanked it down. Like, it just, like, inverse, just massive red down spike. And then when they say, okay, we're not going to do that, everybody, like, went back to fix the reviews. That was such a huge spike. Arrowhead made a custom in-game cape announcing like liberation from, the evil Snowy overlords or something. That is, and the image is that down spike on Steam. It's the 3 red stripes
Wow.
from the down the vote bombing.
That is absolutely unreal.
Yes, none of the people in these countries, which a huge portion of the reason the game was so overselling, like at any given time, the average players was 200 to 500,000 people all the time because it was a constant war. There was just global, follow the sun people playing this game.
Hang on a second. What
What?
are the United States minor outlying islands? Which ones are those?
It's a bunch of these smaller things that are smaller than Guam that we own, like weird territories and stuff.
And unknown country codes AN, FX, and XD.
Midway Islands, Johnston Atoll, Kingsman Reef, Jarvis Island, Howland Island, Baker, Wake Island. It's a bunch of the stuff south in between. It's the stuff southwest of Hawaii. It's like in all those little, like in between Hawaii and Marshall.
Guam?
It's in the Pacific. No, not Guam.
No, but Guam is specifically called out on the list as well.
Yes, because they're not an actual. Guam is weird.
And Puerto
Guam
Rico?
Is,
the Holy
again,
See?
Yep.
The Pope can't play Helldivers. Goodness, this is.
And then they made a change a few days after that where they added like 3 more. And they even said this was an administrative thing because I think what happened was somebody hit select all and then unchecked, the good countries, and they accidentally they did or undid, or somebody misclicked somewhere. They said, no, these were supposed to be in the original thing. This is not an addition to, somebody just misclicked in the UI.
This is.
Yeah, it really
alarming.
was printing money.
Yeah.
It had microtransactions that you didn't actually have to buy because you could get that in-game currency by playing the game at a fairly decent rate if you played it enough. There was no subscription. It was a one-time thing. It was $40. It wasn't even like buy this $60 game. It was $40. You get it. You screw around for a couple hours with your mates. It was just, it was great content. It was live. Joel, and then now it's, we either all dive together or we don't. And the game just.
I would say F in the chat for Sony, but I'll just skip the middle of that and say F Sony.
And it really is. It really is Helldiver. Let me bring up on Twitch.
The thing is, it's very believable hearsay. Sony demanding microtransactions sounds very on brand for them. I can't vouch for it either way either, but yeah, as a developer myself, that would be my reaction is, oh, okay, you want microtransactions? Cool. You can also earn the currency in-game by being logged in.
Yeah.
We're already doing that for Cafe. There are no microtransactions. If you throw money at us, you get bonuses, but you know what? You earn those the same way just by hanging around and playing Cafe with people. Which, by the way, is anyone playing Cafe right now? We should find out. Let me load it up. Hit the button. We'll find out.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Both of us are here.
Both of us are here, and Jamie's link is dead. Who's open now? Aw, nobody's open right now. But we do have our wonderful screenshots on our landing page with the recipes and the store, all of this.
You're going to have to update soon.
I am going to have to update that soon. Matter of fact, let me put that on my list now. We need to update those. But Let's Cafe game. Let's Cafe is the new upcoming game from Hergel Studios that I've been working on live on stream a lot. Let me
scroll up a little bit.
here.
Cutting off the screenshots.
We'll show the screenshots.
The game.
But it is a cafe business simulator with all kinds of cute little animal customers and Twitch interactivity. The people in your chat can order food and, well, that's pretty much all they can do right now is order food.
No, they can tip money and give.
Oh, that is true. You can even go in and change which little animal avatar you have and get cool little overlays if you want hearts and sparkles and all of that. If you're not in the Hergel Studios Discord, that's going to be the best place to learn more about it. Hit this Let's Cafe game and join the Discord. You will absolutely be hearing more about it. Can I announce who's helping you with the art assets? No, I'm not calling Danny Craig out by name. Danny Craig, the currently the official contract artist for Hergel Studios, who we've been doing a lot of amazing work with. Well, okay, Danny's been doing a lot of amazing work, and I've been just hijacking it 100%. Also, not to call out our storyline designer, who is also in chat here, Speepo M, who will what? Say, huh? I did not know this. What? Wait, hang on. What? I am learning things. Oh, I have learned things. Oh. What?
Oh, what?
Yeah. Huh? What? Wow.
I have interest in both of those things. What?
We did not know. I did not know.
Hey, Jay.
Yes.
In the Let's Cafe channel, there is a picture of the shop page with the avatars if you want to show that.
Oh, yeah, there is. Let me figure out how to bring that up. Where is in the Let's Cafe channel? Let me blow up my Discord here and share a different screen. If I can figure out where I'm looking. This one, yeah. Stop sharing. Share a different screen. I want to share this one, which shows just kind of a preview of some of the characters you can get. Yeah, no, I didn't know that. I'm going to like beat up Danny and be like, hey, come be on our show. Come talk about art. Come talk about whatever. Danny, come hang out with us. We appreciate you. Like, wow, what? This is more relevant than ever because after a recent rant, I got Fuzzy started watching Steven Universe. We went out to Denny's. I gave him the lowdown with spoilers on everything, and now he's going back and actually watching the series for himself. We actually watched a couple episodes together the other night. Monday night, yeah, after dinner.
Yeah.
And it's been quite an experience, quite an eye-opening one for you, I believe. You started to get
it's a lot.
an understanding of why it has the kind of fan base that it has.
I was the same way with Adventure Time for a long time. Like, yeah, it looks good and it's fun to watch, little chunks of it. But until you really actually consume the full story, across 1,011-minute segments.
Yeah. And no, a lot of what this Discord is for is informational. If community happens organically, fantastic. But this is really informational. This is announcements. This is where you brag if you go get a high score so that, someone else can try and take you down. But don't worry about, how much you participate in it. Just a good way to keep abreast of what's going on. Wow.
Huh.
That is neat as hell. Okay, I totally did not know that.
We're putting Danny on our future guest list.
Yeah, absolutely.
To wrangle down.
Absolutely. No, that would be really neat. But yeah, Speepo has expressed a great interest in helping us incorporate a story mode as well, which I am very excited for. I have many ideas, And I have a package that I still need to send out. I am so sorry I haven't made it to the post office. I am so sorry. But I have a package to send out in trade for story production services for Let's Cafe. Part of it was inspired by a game that I had been playing recently called Sticky Business, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the same developers as Little to the Left, or same studio at least.
Yeah, it's...
I still religiously play A Little to the Left. I go through and I do the daily puzzles every day I can manage to remember to, which is most of them.
Same developer.
Same developers. Yeah.
Max Inferno, yeah.
Yeah. But Sticky Business is another one of those small little development studios that does the cozy games and stuff. And Sticky Business is a small business sim from them. And I played quite a bit of it.
Oh, no.
No?
Not the same.
Not
the same developer, but it might be like, hey, I'll, my business, your business, they probably know each other or something. They're sold in a bundle a lot, so they probably know each other.
Yeah. I will be posting this weekend. If you're in the Hergel Discord, I will be streaming the game Friday and chunks of this weekend. If you find yourself awake and available, come check it out for yourself, or go through some of the recent videos on my channel, because I think I still have the recordings up of playing it. So you'll see what happens. There's not much that has to happen. The game itself takes place on screen, but there's nothing else that you have to add to Twitch itself. It's handled by a bot that lives in chat. And beyond that, there's also the website which people can order food from and all of that. I absolutely understand and empathize. I can't keep a regular schedule for the life of me. Yeah, we have been collectively hard at work on it, and it is rapidly turning into an actual game. And I'm really, really happy with the progress we've made. Once again, Danny Craig, the Steven Universe storyboard designer that I did not know. The Adventure Time.
And particle effects, too. That's something else we were working on. You'll be able to buy little, you radiate stars or something, or stinky lines if you feel like it, or little angry skulls if the randomly generated alligator happens to be in Karen mode and she's not happy and then leaves after 5 seconds because she didn't get a manager or something.
Oh, the amount of adorable art I have.
Idea. Yeah.
We
have a bunch of things.
We actually had one of our friends, Vidya James, who you may know from the Zelda speedrunning community or Zeldathon or any of the myriad of other things that Jamie gets into.
Go Blue Dog.
As part of his Blue Dog month for charity, working with St. Jude, he agreed to test the game out, and we may have had a special treat for him where all of the chat customers showed up as the Blue Dog in recognition of Blue Dog month. I was really happy with how that went. It had hiccups. Any early access game, any pre-release game will. That's why we do testing like that. But I was really pleased with how that went. And that Blue Dog is so cute. Not the Blue Dog that we shared earlier, but a Blue Dog. The Majora's Mask Blue Dog.
Just keep that Blue Dog in the asset set.
Oh, I am 100%. 100%. It'll just show up randomly. You know what my favorite thing about the game is? I still, as long as we've been working on it, laugh every time a sloth comes into the shop, because they move slower than other customers, and the music slows down to reflect that. And I will never hear the music ramp down and not immediately start giggling. I love it So much. So much. Makes me a happy camper.
Glad we did that. Glad I suggested that thing with the boots.
Yes, yes, all of this goes all the way back to Madoku's Digits, where we changed the speed of the music based on whether or not you had the speed up boots equipped. And I have abused that in so many other things. In Zelda Tilt and Tumble, having the music speed based on your rolling speed, that that made that game. Absolutely. That was it feels like on the surface it sounds like such a small touch, but it makes such a difference in the immersion of the game. It really does. I'm kind of bummed we didn't get into GDQ for the summer, but now people are yelling about possibly racing it in winter and submitting it as a competition, which gives it even more credence. And now that two of my friends are working with GDQ staff directly, but I digress. I don't know who said who.
Well, now that we have like a studio defined and pages, and we know how to set Twitch categories and stuff,
Yeah.
that may help the legitimacy of it versus like, I made this weird little demo. Can you play it in front of 1,000 people? Like, no, it's a real game. You can play it as a category on Twitch, which may help them because I know they like to do that because it shows up in the different
Oh,
categories and
true,
stuff.
true, true. And it is absolutely a pleasure. I am glad that you are getting through deep cleaning the bathroom. I'm sorry that you were stuck deep cleaning the bathroom, but we are happy to be of a service in whatever way we can. Man, let me tell you, there are chores in my house that I absolutely love. I love doing the laundry. First of all, it's low effort. It doesn't take a whole lot of work to take things down to where the washing machine is and put them in there or to swap them to the dryer. And there's something almost zen about sorting and folding and putting away clothes.
That's the part I hate.
I don't mind that at all. I love it. I'll come upstairs. I will mate socks. I will hang up t-shirts all facing the same direction. I love it. And as a general rule, I am not much of a cleaner. You can tell this place is an absolute train wreck right now. But that is one I will happily do as laundry. Dishes is kind of like that. And, sometimes it is just running the dishwasher, sometimes it is washing by hand, but it's low impact and it allows you freedom of thought while you do it. You can just kind of tune out and think about something else or listen to music. It almost becomes a ritual and a routine.
The thing about the washing dishes, especially if you use a dishwasher, which you probably should for the bulk of your dishes because it is a lot more efficient than you will ever be with water.
Yeah.
Um, is remember that most dishwashers, if they're properly, not in bad condition, don't actually take that long to wash the dishes. Everybody always assume they have this thing in their head about old dishwashers where like it would take 4 to 6 hours. So you would only ever run the dishwasher. You'd hit start at the end of the night and let it run overnight or whatever. So you think washing dishes is a long block of time. It's realistically like 45 minutes to an hour. And a lot of that, and some of that's just like steam, heat, clean, evaporation stuff too. So you can do multiple loads of dishes in a day, just like laundry.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Break the habit of I have to do dishes before bed and do them during the day. It is an asynchronous chore.
I own 4 bowls. I do the dishes when they are all dirty.
No comment.
My pan was dirty, so we went out to eat for a week.
I need a second pot to boil things in because I only have one that's tall enough. One like 2 quart, 4 quart, not 4 quart. 4 quart's like the big pot, right?
Yeah. 4 quarts is a gallon.
Okay, I need like another 2-quart pan to boil water to put, a package of tortellini in or something. Because I only have one that's in any good condition. I have another one that I think is 1 quart, which is good for like simmering a can of beans, but not boiling things in. So every time it's dirty, I have to wash it so it's clean the next time I need it.
I have the pot that I cook my ramen noodles in.
Is it a ramen only pot?
I can't tell you the last time I washed it.
Well, I mean, you produce boiling water in it. What?
Right, and then I add noodles, and then I dump the entirety of the contents into a bowl and wipe it out briefly.
I got on an egg kick a couple weeks ago because it was like I just wanted some eggs one day. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't hate eggs. I should start buying eggs again. And like when I just want like a snack, just go fry up a couple eggs real quick. Just like the laundry. I've always had this thing in my head. My family, anytime we made breakfast, it was an ordeal to make breakfast foods for 4 to 8 people. So breakfast took a long time and you'd be cooking eggs for, an hour or back. It's like, no, if I just want to cook a couple eggs, it takes like 5 minutes total.
Yeah.
So I can just make eggs whenever I want them. And so I kept making eggs in this pan, and it's a nonstick pan, so it would like kind of wipe out or not. And I just like didn't wash this pan for like a couple weeks and just kept making eggs because I'm flash boiling them at, whatever hundreds of degrees. It's like I didn't get sick.
Anything that's left in there can't be that bad for me.
The stuff on the edges that I didn't scrape out just started carbonizing, and I'm like, well, it's burning off.
It's cast iron now.
Basically, yeah. This is the egg pan. You cook eggs in it and nothing else. I had a teenager living with me for a while, and he wanted a tea kettle. He wanted a hot water kettle to make ramen rather than like boiling the water and stuff, to actually like cook it in it. And he saw this, life hack, you put the ramen in the pot and boil it in there. And I'm like, no, if you only ever put hot water in your electric tea kettle, you never have to clean it because you're only putting boiling water in it. It is always sterile in there. The second you put any food stuff in there, you're going to have to like scrub the crap out of that every time you use it because you will have introduced bacteria and other food stuff in there, and it will get gross real quick. If it's only boiling water in there, you never have to clean it.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I love my electric kettle.
They may be less common here by sheer volume, but they are not completely unheard of, and they are used appropriately by the people that are wise enough to pick them up and use them.
I don't like making like hot water in the microwave. That's the biggest thing.
It feels criminal.
On hot water. It feels dangerous. I've seen them like flashpoint explode too many times.
Yeah, I don't want to heat water up in a microwave. I will heat up stuff that has water in it in a microwave, but I will not heat up water in a microwave. I will, heat my water properly in a kettle. As it should be.
As Tom Scott and Technology Connections have proven, it's really not that more efficient, realistically, to boil the water in a tea kettle on a gas stove, and realistically costs of the amount of gas you're boiling to heat up the metal to boil water versus just doing the exact same thing in an electric kettle. If your electricity is cheap enough, just use an electric kettle.
Although
I understand in some parts of the world the electricity cost is absurdly high. So
with that said, since we have our friends from across the pond here today, and we've already just, settled on the kettle being the appropriate way to heat the water, do you put the cream cheese in before or after the tea? Oh, I'm a monster. I am so sorry.
Hold on, I have to open up the Let's Cafe editor and
I love
submit
you
a
too,
new
Buttons.
recipe.
I do.
Creamy tea, creamy tea,
No,
cream
no.
cheese and tea.
We have chicken
Yes.
tea and we have beef latte. We're good. We don't need any more abomination beverages. Or do
No,
we?
I want all the abomination beverages.
All right.
Creamy tea, cream cheese and tea.
We could do a cheesecake. Cream cheese, egg, sugar, flour? Question mark. We could do a cheesecake recipe.
I really think we ought to do that metadata thing for the item substitution. So you can
Yes.
say like this thing needs a milk. Any of the milks you could put in this recipe. It just needs a milk, not a specific one.
We should sit down and look at the code base and figure out how to add that. But I am definitely on board with that.
I already have it basically mapped out. I'd have to. Well, you changed one thing, so I don't know if that branch I have will still work. But yeah, it's very doable. That's one of my only complaints with it right now is the recipes are very discovering recipes by just trying to make things is really hard because there's a small amount of recipes, and unless you actually know what things can go together, there's no like fuzziness on it. It's not like AI smarts. It is, did you put two things that have a defined recipe in there? Well, you don't define anything. There's no like, if we only have almond milk in this recipe, but not a different milk. Like we didn't make one with coconut milk.
Yeah.
Which I guess you can't really do that because it's not. Anyway, it doesn't say like, hey, that's close. Like that's close, but not the right one. It's just like, nope, that doesn't work. That sucks. That's gross.
Yeah, I do want to talk to you about some options we have for refining and reviewing that. And ask you some, how do I phrase this properly? Ethical questions?
It's people's comment.
Yeah. Absolutely, we need to do that.
I've been pitching this idea to him.
Yeah.
Because all the recipes are mixed together. There should be separate drinks and foods.
Yeah.
And possibly even like a separate prep station.
The prep station I might push back a little bit more on, but I might not. You could probably convince me on that. Splitting the recipe book, 100%. I am down for that. Write up the ticket. Let's do it.
Because I think you should start with beverages only.
Yeah.
And then you expand your shop to have a kitchen, and then more ingredients will appear. Because at the start, there's so many ingredients and so many recipes, you can very easily get screwed out of not having the right things. But if you're in beverage only mode when you start, only beverage ingredients will be in the shop, and you have a chance to actually like get money going.
Yeah, we'll definitely take that and see where we can go with it.
The recipe interface is getting an overhaul soon too. It's one of the last things we need to polish before we go because it needs some love.
It does. That is one of the things we are going to be opening up soon, though. We are launching the Hergel Studios Patreon sometime this coming week before the next podcast. And I think one of the first things we're going to offer to our patrons is going to be the opportunity to add a recipe to the game. We've been adding them from friends and marking them as such as they've been coming in. And I'd like a way to open that up. If you want to leave a lasting mark on the game, here is a mechanic to do so.
I could make a version of the recipe editor we could put on the site.
I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. Let's
just not have the existing recipe so we don't expose any secrets, but like just not load the old recipe data, but let people like play with the editor and submit us.
Yeah.
Here's the data. Copy and paste this.
Yeah. Ooh. I have ideas for that. Yeah.
I think my VOD is still on there. A few weeks ago, all the recipes are stored in this massive JSON file. Just massive blocks of numbers. And Jason's like, I hate adding new things. It's so tedious. And I'm like, okay, I got you. And I sat down one day on stream. I started at like noon. and I just started coding from scratch, like absolutely from scratch, just hammering, setting up the infrastructure and building it out. And I was streaming it, and I kept streaming it, and then I took a break, and then I kept streaming it. It was like an 18 hour.
17
I
hours.
stopped at
17 hours, yeah.
5 in the morning. A good friend of ours, Amaya, raided me after and brought, 90 people in there, and they stuck around, and I just kept coding for 18 hours and start from nothing to finished product. Made a drag and drop editor web interface to make the data files for him.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it started up so I can show it off a little bit.
It runs on 81, by the way.
I did. There we go. Wait until
people were coming and going, and
it was impressive. It was downright impressive.
And then I finally ended stream because I'm like, well, I'm done. I'm not going to keep doing other stuff, but I'm not tired. And then I stayed awake for another. I didn't go to bed until around 7, and then I didn't fall asleep until 10 a.m. So I was awake for like 22 hours.
I remember it distinctly. By the end, he thought he was a hummingbird.
Show the usage at the top.
Oh, yeah. This is one of the things I requested, so you could see which ingredients were used in how many recipes. That way I could go through and find the stragglers where I don't have any recipes that use brown sugar or coconut milk or full cream or a pretzel or salmon, whatever that is.
Do you have bagels?
We do not have bagels. At least we do not yet.
Because if you have bagels, you have cream cheese, and you have salmon.
That is true.
And also a bunch of various toppings for bagels.
I also have 35 recipes that require bread. A full third of the recipes in the game require bread.
But yeah, show them the thing.
But yeah, I could just drag and drop ingredients. Like if I wanted to make a peanut butter mayo sandwich, I'll grab the peanut butter, mayonnaise.
Window capturing's funky. It does actually show them as you're dragging. Browsers don't.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not.
Right. No, browsers don't capture correctly.
But you can drag and drop ingredients from one side to the other. And the game is set up so that you can pick a range of places that an ingredient can go. Like if I want one piece of bread at the bottom and one piece of bread at the top, and the fillings anywhere in between, I can mark those ranges. And it'll spit out the data format that we need for the game so that in the recipe book, it will always display this, but it will accept any combination of bread at the top and bottom and ingredients in the middle.
Yep.
A lot of the drinks are like that. For instance, if you are making a where's our chicken tea? It's here somewhere.
Filter it with chicken. There's a filter on that recipe picker.
Oh, if only I had. Here, I'll reset that real quick. Grab my chicken broth, drag it into the filter. There we go. You can make chicken tea, and it'll show the default recipe here where there's chicken at the bottom and tea in the middle. But you can put either of those ingredients in any slot to get chicken tea. The other one, I don't know if you saw the other one, Super Soup, which is a combination of chicken stock, beef stock, and veggie stock. There's your soup. What flavor is it? Soup flavored.
Oh my god. Oh, hold on. I remember the joke.
Uh-oh.
If you make a vanilla latte with soy milk, it's technically
three bean soup. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is. Oh man, I love that. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I think you and I should discuss adding a version of this to the Let's Cafe holding site for now and allowing people to submit recipe suggestions.
Yep.
I like that idea. We'll put that on our list for this week. I like that. Oh, I like that.
But the blob of data down below, this is the newer format in JSON. We had a different format and a different way, which was even more convoluted to write by hand. But you'd have to go in and edit and fill in all the numbers correctly and all the things and which ID was which thing. And I'm like, no.
I don't want to do that. That's boring. So now I have an editor that does it for me.
Yep. And we just copy and paste that into a big file and it's done. Well, eventually you won't even have to do that.
Yeah. That is one of the things on the list.
I'm going to do that this week.
Well, that'll go hand in hand with like submitting the recipes too. If we have an open submission thing. If we're just passing around that information regardless of what mechanic we have for it.
Yeah, I could change that, just submit to a back end.
Yeah.
I was just going to make like a quick Google form. Be like, give us your name and your recipe and have it go somewhere agnostic, and then we'll figure it out from there.
I'm almost afraid that if we do this, that it'll get more popular than the game proper. Which would be a delightful problem to have. I can't deny that.
It's not great code, but...
all code is terrible code. All projects...
It was an internal tool. It wasn't meant to be.
Yes. The code itself doesn't matter. And that's one of the things that I know we spent the entire first half of the show skewering Jackson's code, but that's an exercise in love and usability and all of that. The point is, the code doesn't matter once the product is produced, because you are not, as a rule, there are exceptions, you are not releasing your code. You're releasing the thing your code does. Yeah. No business sells source code. What they sell is superpowers. They sell the ability to do something with a computer that you couldn't do before. That's what you end up with. If the code behind it is terrible, well, what does Thor say all the time? The dialogue in Undertale is a gigantic 10,000 line if statement. All of the logic in Balatro is in a 7,500 line Lua case, whatever.
Oh my God, that is so incredible. I was looking at that the other day.
The code is always atrocious. That's how it works. You minimize that atrociousness level if you're working with other people, so that you can all work together on something that is easy for you to understand as a human. But it doesn't matter what that code looks like to the person that's using the thing you make.
Yeah.
And I have yelled that up and down at my students this semester, too. I have absolutely told each and every one of them, you know, there are reasons we ask you to do it this way. It makes it easier for us to understand. When it comes to what the computer wants, don't care. The computer does not care. The computer does not care about your spacing. The computer does not care what names you give things. The thing is, if you're ever going to work on it with someone else, follow some of these established conventions. Yes, if you want to name your function John with a G, you can just fuck right off. But yeah, no, seriously. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. And that's something I had to remind myself to calm myself down. Is if we are going to work on it together, if I need to be able to understand it, you have to write it so that I can understand. If I don't need to be able to understand it, you can write it any way you prefer, because the computer doesn't care.
Right.
You know,
look, as long as it compiles and does the thing it's supposed to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I do notice, though, that the barbecue sauce is just barbecue.
Yes, but we're using short names for that, and I don't have long names for ingredients.
I know, but, like, you didn't just name soy milk soy.
That is true. It was very arbitrary when I was
I know.
picking the
I'm
when I was picking the
just-
slugs for the ingredients.
I know.
The hot
Here's a
sauce
jar of
is
sour.
well, the fluff. It does not specify that it's marshmallow fluff. It is just fluff. Maybe it came from inside a stuffed toy. I don't know.
We joked on. Oh, absolutely.
Yes, we
go and
want to
pitch
hear these ideas. A
while you
million
type that
percent.
up. I pointed out to Jason because we were talking about mixing drinks, and I'm like, just a quick asset swap and some recipe data, and this could turn into a bartender game.
Yeah.
Because we were discussing like what goes in what type of drink and like this mix and that mix, and I'm like, that's basically what this cafe game is. If you just replace these all with like spirits and mixers, you've got bartender simulator.
Just reach over for the bottle of Clanana. That's
Juice.
clam juice and banana puree.
Oh, 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 God.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree, Spiritus, but for now, I'm just taking the big array they're in, which they cannot change out of that order because they're tied to the sprite sheet that they're in. And right now, it is just one massive hard coded. They have to be in this order, and we don't have any other data about it. I am hammering Jason about we have to store metadata about them, like these are sauces or these are breads or etc. And we can,
Yeah.
here are sauces, here are breads, here are proteins, so you can. Right now, the game has no idea what a thing is. It is just a name and an icon.
But that is on our list of things to do, and that would be a good way to do it. Is categorize them by name at the start of the slug. That way, if you wanted a sauce, you filter by sauce _ banana. Oh man!
com.java.
Stop it! Stop it! You cut that out right now. So help me.
I hated that for the longest time, and then I sat down and researched why they did that like that, and then I realized I hated it even more.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the other things we've been debating is there's varying levels of done as you go through the ingredients. There are raw produce ingredients like spinach, and there are raw baking ingredients like flour. But there are also things like a waffle, which is flour and egg and yeast or whatever goes in a waffle. We are considering ways to allow you to make some of the more done ingredients from the raw ingredients. If you need bread, you can combine flour, egg, whatever, and turn it into bread.
If I have a potato, I have fries.
Yeah. Maybe
if I have ham, I have bacon.
Maybe I'll make you put two potatoes together to turn into an order of fries from an economic standpoint. But if you have potatoes, you do have fries. That is the one that drives Fuzzy absolutely bonkers.
Well, that's just playing too many cooking games where you take a thing and turn it into.
Yeah.
The other thing we're playing around with, which the reason we haven't is there's a lot of mechanical reasons and also weird balancing things, is making things have more than one use. I do not buy an entire bottle of ketchup to use for one hot dog.
Yeah, but my argument is that you are buying it per serving. I just do not have an icon for a squirt of ketchup that looks as recognizable.
Well, the thing, it's like this. Hot dog, yes, you have a hot dog. I can give a customer one hot dog. I should be able to use that ketchup bottle more. That ketchup bottle should have uses. But like, where do we define that? Then we have to track another number. Then when you buy it, how do we store that? You have a whole bottle of unopened ketchup and then partial bottle. Like, there's a lot of mechanical reasons we haven't done it yet. We are thinking about it. So if you ever have the pitch of why do I only get one latte out of this entire bottle of milk? Yeah. With option built in, hot dog with ketchup. That is something else we talked about once, and we're trying to figure out a good way to store that data, because you can see from the recipe it is a very
It's very bare bones right now in that a recipe is just a list of what goes in it and where you can put it in the grid. The mechanical how we would add options like that does make it a little bit tougher. But
it's very Minecraft recipe-y.
Yeah, it is something that we are strongly considering still. This is, like I said, this game is in very early access for as much as I'm telling people go play it, you know. It is not done cooking at all whatsoever.
Which is why it's not out yet either.
Yeah, that's why there's no publicly playable demo of it, is we are still actively deciding parts of the game. We have large parts of it that are working well, and they look good to show off, and then we have all of these things that we're like, yeah, but we could, we might, we should. And we go back and forth on a lot of them.
It's a very late alpha. It's right on the early stages of a functional beta test, but it is not. It's hammering out these kind of details. It's maybe a month out from actually being released, if that. Like, we were aiming for beginning of June, but some other things came up, and then we're rapidly approaching the next Zeldathon, and summer problems taking up everybody's time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Although that concept of with a thing with this would actually let us reduce some of the recipes, because we won't have to define tea and then also tea with honey as a separate thing that you have to buy as a recipe and blah blah blah. And that would allow a lot more variance in the ordering, because as customers come in, they don't just order tea. This one may want tea with honey, or with, hot dog, which is just, bun and hot dog, but the variability of I want double ketchup. Like, you actually have to read their order and not just here's one specific thing, go and do that. You actually have to pay attention to what they order.
One thing that floats through my mind that I want to say out loud is I have a self-imposed artificial constraint here, in that there's an upper bound to how complex I'll let the game get.
Yeah.
If I want it to be cozy, if I want it to be low stress, some of these things I will at some point just stamp my foot like a toddler and go, no, that's too much.
Well, we can always ramp that up.
True.
You don't have the complex orders at your start, but the more days you go in, as your rating goes up or you have things available, those complex orders can go up. And we were talking about adding storyline and special customers. Those ones, even in the beginning, they come in with complex orders, but they're worth double stars or whatever, because they've got, I need one hot dog with double ketchup, one with this, and tea with it, customized orders, and they're worth a bunch of bonus stars. Or 5 regular customers and then a complex one. It's like those dungeon crawlers with 10 waves of normal enemies and
then a mini
one.
boss. Yeah,
the boss one has the complex one. Endless mode, where it's just not story progression, but it's how fast can you do simple orders, and then complex. Just we can scale that up.
Yeah, that we can.
I'd categorize everything with in some kind of condiments group. Yeah. Okay.
I could see something like
that. Might be a nice bridge between the two.
We also have to set up a meeting with you soon, but that's beside the point.
Mm-hmm. When are you going to be on this show, huh?
Yeah, when are you going to come be on a guest on here? Come chat with all of us. It's worth a shot. Might as well ask. Talk about your favorite Hurgle games. Rank them in the Hurgle tier listing. Let's see. Did our Steam partnership app go through yet? We got one more step. I had to fix a thing.
What did you do?
I filled out the tax paperwork incorrectly.
Oh, that's...
Yeah. But that's all it's holding on an identity verification thing.
So can I order business cards now?
Do you want business cards? Did we ever officially decide on a title for you?
No.
Should we put that on our next sync meeting schedule, is decide what our titles are for the business cards?
We probably should, and list those on the site, because that's job stuff.
Yeah.
Also, tax paperwork.
An air of legitimacy.
If we make money and actually pay ourselves, I'm going to have to list what job that is and what engineer, other.
Yeah.
Like I was for 15 years.
Yeah.
I did my tax. I was listed as an engineer at my last job for the entire time I was there, because it was the only classification in the IRS list that came even close. And I was doing my taxes one year because I had like some weird tax thing with stock, so I actually paid to have my taxes done. The guy asked what I did. I'm like, well, what are you asking? What goes in that field 13A, or are you asking what I actually do? He's like, both. I'm like, put down engineer. And then I told him what I did, and then I told him what my title was, and then I listed all my other previous titles. And he's like, what? And I'm like, it was my actual official title on our org chart at the company level. Is at one point my official job title was Giraffe Neck Scratcher.
What are some of the other winners? There was Bottle Washer. Trying to remember what else was on the list. When you're at a startup and you're wearing all the hats and they don't know what to categorize you as, you were a wizard at one point, I'm sure of it.
I have an image. Where is it? It was engineer, then tech support, because for a while I was the entire email tech support. Then after that, I was bottle washer, dog walker, chief radiologist, executive baker, candlestick maker, thimble rigger, bookie, fragrance expert, fishmonger, and my last one was giraffe neck scratcher with a capital N. I shit you not, these were my actual official titles on the official org chart that got submitted to the board at their annual, like, here is our company, it's this big, and somebody like, my face stood out or something, and he like looked at it, he's like, does that say bottle washer? What? And they had to explain, like, he does everything, what do you call him? And so every time they made that slide, they changed it. Like every year when they did the thing, they'd like, okay, roll the name generator, give them another name to see if they were paying attention. And that board member checked for my name to see what my title was every time.
You're part of the lore of that company now.
Oh, I still am.
Once upon a time, we used to have a bottle washer on staff. Oh, man. Well, I think we're at about time. I figure we'll wrap it up for tonight. Thank you all for hanging out and watching with us. I think we're going to go over and bother Jiggy, mostly because I told him we'd go over and bother him when we were done. Got to go make sure he's playing Pokemon or whatever he's doing tonight.
He's probably still talking.
I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being here. Next Wednesday, we will be back next Wednesday with our good friend Legos Jedi from Twitch itself proper. Someone who actually knows what's going on with this kind of stuff. And like I said before, make sure you join any of the assorted Discords, the Hurgle one, because I will be streaming some Let's Cafe development this weekend. We have big plans now that we've talked through all of this stuff. Much love to you all. Thank you so much, and we will catch you next time around.